Which G7 nation has the fastest growing population of them all? It's not the US or Germany. They're not even close. It's Canada. And while the country has made this kind of growth a priority, largely through immigration, including large numbers of temporary workers and international students, there are signs that its previously well-regarded safety net isn't living up to the hype.
You have shelter, you have food, healthcare, things like that. We have a pretty good reputation in that area, and Canadians, I think, are proud of that. But the hope is also that in building that kind of a system, it will have the sort of resilience that when unexpected shocks come around, the system is also able to adapt to that.
Okay, good. All right.
Sometimes it feels like Canada's accessible healthcare system has become a bit of a broken promise.
It almost seems like Canada is breaking some of the implicit promises that it's made to the immigrants that it's trying to attract. The people who are coming here think Canada is going to be a certain way, and it's turned out that it's been a lot harder for a lot of them.
We have consciously made the decision that we want to have a robust immigration policy for a number of reasons, including the fact that, like many countries in the world, our birth rate is falling. We are a really big country. There are not a lot of people here. That means the social safety net is very expensive. There is no doubt that the sheer number of people that are coming into Canada right now is putting some strain on the system. There has been decades of underinvestment in housing. You have house flipping, you have people buying houses not to occupy them. All of that drives up prices. Meanwhile, the supply is slow. Then on top of that, you add a huge number of people coming in, and you just kind of get this perfect scenario in which the strain is being felt on all sides. The number of people living in emergency shelters in Toronto is about 9,000 a night, and that is twice what it was a decade ago. If you don't have housing, if you don't have a roof over your head, it's very difficult to tackle other issues like unemployment, food security, or abuse problems, drug abuse problems.
You get a curfew, you get crappy food, but you get food, all right? And you're being told what to do. Now here, you get individual living. People can live on their own. They can live amongst people who understand them.
Oh, there's tons of housing here. Buildings that aren't being used and stuff, right. And they're just sitting empty. Right. So the city can't sit there and say that there's no housing.
Most people cannot afford to buy a house in Toronto. That means that there are a lot more people who need to rent, and it is the rental segment of the market where you really see the strains on the system appearing.
Arushi Thakkar is one of those renters. She's one of the more than 1 million international students studying, working, and volunteering in Canada. That incredibly high number of transplants means that housing is much harder to come by. Greater numbers of international students have been a quick fix for Canada's underfunded colleges and universities, as they pay around 5 times as much in fees as domestic students.
When I came to Canada, whether they are my friends, whether they are my classmates or any of the international students, there is a terrible housing situation. My very first place where I was living was somewhere around $400 to $500. It was just a place where it was not wholly constructed, just a room. There was no kitchen, there was just a table where you can cook something and that's it. And one of the things which mainly attracted me towards Canada was because, yeah, some were secure because you don't have to worry about the job and the country is little reliable as comparative to other countries. There are so much things which I believe any international student has to go through. There is no job opportunities for a lot of students. I see my friends, they're suffering even for $5.
Do you think that your friends who are also international students, do they want to stay in Canada?
No one wants to stay. Most of the international students I've met with, they don't want to stay in Canada.
Food banks like Saidam, where Arushi volunteers, have seen an increase in people unable to afford basic staples, including many of the international students who work here.
The industry is growing. We never expected that this industry would grow, and almost 27,000 people a month in all different programs. That's not stopping. you don't see an end.
And food insecurity isn't confined only to one region in Canada.
Even in Calgary, which is one of Canada's last affordable big cities, food insecurity is a problem, and rising food prices are taking a big bite out of people's budgets. I talked to the Calgary Food Bank, and they said that they served 33,000 people in December. That's up 40% from a year ago. So it's a really big problem that a lot of people are facing.
Even Canada's healthcare system has been strained by population shifts, especially in cities.
Canadians feel grateful to have access to a free healthcare system. They pay for it through taxation, of course, but if they get out of a surgery, they won't have a bill waiting for them. In terms of numbers, about 1 in 5 Canadians does not have a regular family doctor. A family doctor is a general practitioner. If you need access to a dermatologist or a cardiologist, you need to get through a family doctor. So family doctors are critical in the system as first-line responders. Here in Quebec, we don't have the highest or the lowest doctor to population ratio, but it is here where you'll find the highest shortage of family doctor. We're reaching record highs of immigration in Canada right now. The family doctors didn't follow that. Many physicians are retiring today, and young physicians are looking for better work-life balance.
My name is Dr. Mark Roper. I'm a family doctor or general practitioner here in Montreal for the last 35 years. A single-payer system is attractive for a number of ways. There is very little hassle about billing patients. We don't actually bill our patients at all. We bill directly the single payer, which is a branch of the government that's paid out of the taxes of the state. It's never really a consideration when we're seeing our patients, and our billing is very efficient and very rapid. We can't be blind to the pitfalls. I mean, there are pitfalls in the American system, there are pitfalls in the Canadian system. And we have some areas that are 94% of the population have a family doctor, but some regions of Montreal, it's gone down to 55%. At 55% of the population with a family doctor in a single-payer system without another option, you have a lot of diabetics who don't even know they're diabetic, or hypertensives who don't know they're hypertensive. So this has created in the center of Montreal a healthcare crisis.
Early this year, 1 in 40 people in the entire country was on a foreign study visa. Mark Miller, Canada's immigration minister, announced in March that the nation would reduce the number of temporary residents by 20% over the next 3 years, or about 500,000 people. Whether that's enough to reverse the backslide in quality of life remains to be seen. The work of holding true to the promise of Canada's safety net is very much a work still in progress.
In a lot of ways, nation building is still kind of a thing that is going on here, which is why it's so important that we get these policies right. There is still commitment to these social programs. It is a matter of funding them in an efficient way and, I guess, quickly enough that we can keep up with all of these new strains on the system.